Here we are at the Las Cascadas Mall. Okay, we're about to head into the immigration office to apply for another 2 years stay in El Salvador. Wish us luck. Hey everyone, you heard it correctly. We spent yesterday at the immigration office in Las Cascadas Mall. And if you're living in El Salvador on a temporary residency, especially with a family, or you're planning to apply soon, this video is going to save you a ton of time and confusion. Let's go through exactly what we needed for our renewal of our F20 and F24 visas and what it's really like to deal with immigration here. Buenas tardes, mis amigos, y bendiciones para todos ustedes. Good afternoon, my friends, and blessings to you all. My name is Charity Hagenaars, and bienvenido a mi canal if you're new here, y bienvenido de nuevo if we're already old amigos. Si no habla inglés, ve a la configuración de YouTube y selecciona pista de audio para escuchar este video en español, o presiona el botón CC para obtener subtítulos en español. If you regularly enjoy this content, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button, as it helps the algorithm to get this content out to more people. So first, a quick refresher. The F20 visa is for the main applicant, that's usually the person who qualifies, under investment, employment, or another residency category. Now, for us specifically, we started a corporation here in El Salvador in 2023. So our visa is for us to operate this corporation here. And the F24 visas, those are for dependents. In our case, that's our 3 children. So both are considered temporary residencies, and they need to be renewed each year here in El Salvador. However, when you first apply, it is just for 1 year. And when you go to renew, you can choose 1 year again or 2 years for a slight discount. A 1-year temporary residency in El Salvador costs $140. And for renewing 2 years at a time, it's $240 per person. So you can save $40 per person by doing 2 years at a time instead of 1 year each time. Now, renewal means updating your documents, paying the fees, and proving that you still meet all the requirements under which you originally applied for. And you get a new temporary residency card with a new expiry date. So, all right, let's talk about paperwork. This is the part everyone always wants to know about, and honestly, it's the most confusing. So here's what immigration asked us for to renew our F20 and our F24 visas. So the F20, that's for me and GJ. You need a signed original application form, and you can get it right in the immigration office or print it off from their official website. Here is the URL for that. You need your original passport for verification. If there are changes to the passport submitted for the previous residency application, a certified copy of the last valid passport and all pages must be submitted. You need the original proof of continued activity in accordance with the previously granted residency status, duly authenticated by a Salvadorian notary and stating the legal status as applicable. Now, what does that really mean, right? So specifically what it meant for us is that I needed to print off the application form and fill it out. I needed to bring in my passport, and I needed a notary to write a declaration that we were still operating our business as stated on our original form. Now, at this point, we could have changed our type of visa if we chose to. For our children or anyone under 18 years old, you have to go to where it says the F24 extension application. So what you'll need is that application form signed by the father and the mother. You need the original passport for the children for verification purposes. Then you need an affidavit that's notarized by the person who will provide financial support while in the country. Now, this must include the commitment made, the length of time for which said support will be provided, and the method of obtaining that income. So this meant that I needed a notary to write the declaration that we will financially support our children, and there is a little model that it gives you at the end of the application form for the notary to use. Now, everything must be in good condition. If the passports have expired or changed since the last application, you need to get a new one from your home country's embassy before going to immigration, and you'll need copies of the old one with all the pages to show them basically your travel information, because if you just went and got a new passport and had all these stamps in the other one, then it may invalidate your application. I'll talk about the lengths of time you're allowed to leave the country in a minute. So what this meant to us personally it meant that I first needed to find a notary because that was really important. Now, I use our community's WhatsApp buy and sell group
just to ask if there's a notary in our complex. I figured that would make life a little bit easier. The notary and our lawyer friend told us that because we're not fluent in Spanish, that all the documents going to immigration, they need to be translated by an official translator in El Salvador and submitted with our declarations. So the notary needed to write a declaration for me and for GJ to say that we're still administrators of our business, and that is our source of income. So that is the 2 documents, and then one for the children, which included all 3 children, but we needed to have 3 copies of it to go, one with each application for each child. So all of these documents need to be translated. Now we have a guy that does this for us who used to live in Canada but is from here. And then we had to have 2 witnesses watch us sign all 5 of these documents. The translator submitted his credentials to the notary, and I needed the DUI, which is the ID that we call here. It's not a DUI like driving under the influence. It is the official ID of this country. It's called a DUI. And we needed that for each of the witnesses. I need to submit those to the notary because it's right in the documentation what their DUI numbers are. As well as each of these documents is time-stamped. And as we learned from when we got our initial temporary residency, the order of the timestamps is very important. I think I must have signed like 20 times over all these documents. Every page gets signed, and the witnesses signed, I think, once per document, and the translator signed every page, as well as the notary stamped and signed every page. So it was a bit of an ordeal, and it had to be all done in blue ink. I know, it's a lot. Immigration translation costs more than like medical or other translation services. We have good people now to make sure that no one gets scammed. So if you want help with this, we made an arrangement with our translator and the notary to be able to help you out with any of these things. Just send us an email at youtube@hagenaars.com. It can be very overwhelming, and as non-Spanish speakers, it just adds more complexities. So if you saw my video when we were trying to get the kids enrolled in school, they wanted $250 to translate and notarize each report card. That was a ripoff, and I don't want to see people get scammed like that. So please reach out to us and we can help you out. You do not need an appointment, but you need to go to one of only 2 locations. Now we chose the one at Las Cascadas Mall, that is in Ciudad Merliot. I am not even sure where the other office is, but I think it's in Santa Tecla. So if someone knows the answer, please put it in the comments and I will pin it below. But I know there are only these 2 locations to do immigration for foreigners. We brought our friend Stan, who is the driver of our tour business, and he did all the translating for us in the office. Sometimes they let your friends in to the immigration office to translate, and sometimes they don't. We've gone to that office 5 times now, and at least one of those times they didn't let our friend in. And when we walked in, we only waited maybe a minute. I didn't have a chance to sit down, and we were called up to the counter. But when we got to the counter, we were there for almost an hour in total. So once we got called up, she reviewed every document very carefully. So the one thing that I made a mistake on was my title or role on the F20 business form. I just put businesswoman. I thought that sounded generic enough, but all-encompassing for my role. She printed off a new form and filled it out with my actual title from our corporation's documents. And she did the same thing for GJ, because for him I just put businessman. And now we had changed something in our corporation, and this changed my position in the corporation. So I did bring the paperwork to show this change that we had sent to the CNR. She asked if we had the original document, and I didn't, as our lawyer would have sent that to the CNR. So I just printed off a copy for immigration, and she accepted that. I figured since she was actually willing to redo the applications right there in the office, that there were no other mistakes, because we would have been sent home with all these documents and a list of what they call observations. When we first applied for residency, we had to go to that office 3 times with the observations or changes that need to be made after the first visit and the second visit. And actually, on the 3rd visit, there was still an issue, but our friends actually took the document over to the notary's office, came right back, and we just stayed at the mall to have lunch. And it was just like a copy-paste error. It was so minimal, but everything has to be perfect. So instead of avoiding us another trip to go there, he ran out, did that, and came back, and we got it all settled that day. And at that time, we didn't have a car. So we had to like rent a microbus to take all 5 of us, take our 2 friends and the driver from Lourdes to Las Cascadas Mall. And we had already done that. Like we'd done 2 times the microbus, and 1 time GJ and I just in the Uber, and we took an Uber to go back the 4th time to pick up the actual cards. So it became kind of an ordeal and a bit expensive with all that. So they had checked every page very carefully, going line by line with little pencil marking, little check boxes here. And GJ had actually gone back to Canada for a trip. So I brought a copy of the stamp of his passport where it said he came back to El Salvador. Now, Canada doesn't stamp when you go back home into your home country. So I had no stamp going into Canada. I only had the plane ticket. But she gave those back to me. She didn't really look at them. So they must know internally some other way that he had left the country and come back. However, the rule is that you can be gone for up to a total of 120 days and only 90 days at a time. So he was out of the country just shy of 90 days. So he could have flown back to Canada for like another 30 days to get to the 120. And they were probably notified the moment he got on the plane, actually, to say that he had left the country. So they didn't need to have that stamp that I photocopied out of his passport, and they didn't need the plane ticket. Now, I told you guys that when we first applied for residency, they kept all of our documents, including the kids' birth certificates and criminal background checks. And they also kept everything we submitted this time. Now, because they changed that application form, I actually took a picture of it. So next time I know how to fill it in myself. We also got our photos taken again, and they do electronic signatures, including the kids. And this gets printed on the little cards. And now, at first I wasn't sure if we needed to bring the kids. Then I remembered that they actually have an expiration date on their residency cards. So I'm glad we brought them because they definitely need to be there, doing the pictures, doing the signature all over again. The process is very smooth overall, and it only took an hour. So from what I understand, it's already approved because she went through everything to make sure that it wouldn't get declined. It'll take approximately 10 to 15 business days to get our cards. And after 2 more years, we can apply for permanent residency if we maintain continuous status and follow all the rules.
Okay, we're just leaving immigration. We are here officially for another 2 years. We just come back and pick up our cards when they're ready.
So here are a few tips from our experience. Go to the immigration office within 30 days before the expiry date. Don't wait until your visa is about to expire. As if there are any mistakes in your documents, you need some time to fix them. Now, I am told you have up to 30 days after the expiry to submit any related documents, but I wouldn't chance that. Our notary took a week from when I first reached out to him until we actually signed the documents. So those things take time. You need to factor that time in. Now, double check all your documents. Even like one missing signature can delay your application. When the notary was here, the witnesses actually noticed he missed a signature somewhere. So we actually flipped through all the pages again. We're like, yes, he missed one signature. So make sure that you're very studious in going through all your documents to make sure everything is signed the way it's supposed to be. And just be patient and polite. It goes a long way in getting help when you need it. And if you look hostile, maybe they find, issues with your application. And if you're bringing kids, pack some snacks, games, or something for them to do while you're at the counter with the officer, because our kids were sitting by themselves looking very, very bored. My kids are older, but if you have young kids especially, make sure you have something for them to do. Maybe, I don't know if you'd be allowed to bring someone in to help you with the kids or leave them outside until you're ready and then call them in if you have like a nanny or someone with you. That would make life easier, especially if you have really young kids, because they get bored easy. There is a little playground area there for little kids. So if you have someone like a nanny or someone with you, maybe they can go to that playground area, because you're probably both going to want to sit at the counter with the officer to go through all the paperwork. It can be confusing, so it's good to have an extra set of ears and eyes there to watch everything. So that's our experience renewing our temporary residency here in El Salvador. We had the F-20 for me and my husband and the F-24 for our kids. It's definitely a process, but once you know what to do and what to expect, it's totally manageable. And like I said, if you need help with any of this, reach out to us, as we have some good people now that we trust to help to do this. And if this video helped you out, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe for more real-life expat content about living, working, and raising a family here in beautiful El Salvador. See you in the next one. Adios, amigos.
If you have a pet, you can come here. There's a little pet pee station. I don't know how often they clean the grass, but they have a little pooping bag thing and a little paper towel thing. So, yeah, that's cool. Very pet friendly.
Don't forget to hit the like button.